Welcome back to Let's Talk Social Innovation Pod. I hope you've been having a great week, and if not, we can kickstart it right here. I'm your host, Ian Kahinde, and I have a very, very exciting guest with me, one of my friends for a very long time,
Oh boy.
singer, songwriter, artist, Sami Rizk.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you for having me here, bro. For real, bro. It's good seeing you, linking up again,
It's
bro.
definitely
Back
been a
on
minute.
campus and stuff, bro,
Yeah.
man. Going back meeting you on freshman year, dorm mates and stuff like that. Floor mates, I should say. But
You already know, rep out Holland Hall.
Holland Hall, man. Any y'all in Holland this year? I hope y'all aren't struggling with that heat for real. But if y'all are, best of luck, man.
Hey, real talk, Holland Hall may have been one of the lesser dorms on campus,
That was the slums.
but one of the good things about it is because it gets so hot, you got to leave your doors open so you can make friends. That's how I met Sami in the first place.
Always popping out. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me here. So it's been a long work in the making, but I'm excited to be here and share some stuff. So thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, but we're going to get into the interview part of this pod.
Word, bro.
Sami, you want to tell us where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Sami Rizk. I am originally from Morocco, Casablanca. I was born there in 2003. Not only was I born there, I was adopted there by two beautiful human beings, Kareem and Kabira Rizk, and they have given me a fruitful opportunity in migrating over here when I was very young, and given me the opportunity to not just study in America, but be a real American citizen and grow up as an American. So I've had the chance of, going back into the third world country of Morocco and coming through here and uh, just growing up, really, being creative, curious about life, seeing both ends of life and understanding that, and seeing what I can do with it. You know what I mean? So from the coincidence of me being adopted in the roughest part of the country to being where I'm at now and making studio albums and meeting beautiful souls like you, it's been a beautiful process. So that's that's a little gist of where I come from.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How long were you in the foster system for?
I was really lucky. I was born March 28th, and my adoption process started April 17th. So not even a month into my life, I was luckily picked up, which is really, really lucky, and to take into account that people are in the foster system their whole life sometimes until they're legal adults. So I got really fortunate with that, and it took about a yearish from how adoption stuff goes. And I was in the foster care still, but I was having my family now coming in and visiting me and always taking care of me. And there's pictures of me on my birthday and stuff like that with them in the foster care. So I had that, and so yeah, it was a pretty quick process, pretty easy. I don't remember any of it, which is lucky. So yeah.
So were you adopted in Morocco, or was your adopted family from the U.S.?
No, my parents are immigrants born and raised in Morocco, and they moved to America actually in '95. My mom's first job was a cook at Denny's, and my dad worked part-time at this pizzeria called Pinocchio's, my favorite joint in Media, Pennsylvania, anyone that knows that spot.
Okay.
And he worked part-time at Pinocchio's and at a car wash. So they were grinding for a while. 2003, they came back. My mom was actually diagnosed to be infertile. So she had a miscarriage and still had the dream to have kids. So she came back to Morocco and they wanted a Moroccan baby. So lucky for me, they found me and here I am now. So they've done a lot for me. It's cool.
Hey, all I can say is they got a beautiful son.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that for real, man.
So what impact would you say that your parents had on you and your creativity?
I wouldn't say that they've just given me the opportunity to explore this world in the most free way possible. As people know, immigrant parents, it's kind of shocking to say that, and I think back to having strict immigrant parents and them instilling these core values of discipline and hard work and grind and consistency, but also my parents are not ones to really force their will onto me. They let me do whatever I wanted, and as long as I was being a good son and stuff. But they really, really were welcoming with it, and at times I didn't perceive it as that. But now looking back, just because they weren't as involved as I wanted them to be didn't mean that they weren't giving me the opportunity to. You know what I mean? My dad buying me my first mics, my mom buying me my MIDI keyboards, and not disrupting me when I'm in the house making noise and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So they've always been that open type of parents who just let me ride the wave that I was finding. So it's been a cool process with them. They instill a lot of hard work. Like I said, from where they came from, their first jobs here now. My mom still works 7 days a week since I could remember, and she's a supervisor now at a company called CTDI. Like it's not like she needs to, but she her core values are there. She's Muslim, prays 5 times a day, and it shows a lot to me about how I should live my life, how to treat others, how to care for others, how to respect myself and care of myself. So
Yeah, they gave you the tools that you needed to succeed, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
that hard work that got you to where you're at.
yeah,
And I
man.
can
But
see you got it from your pops, you got it
yeah,
from your mom and the
yeah,
way they be
yeah,
hustling.
yeah, man. They hustled hella, but they gave it to me all, man. They really did. So
So my next question for you is, where did the love for the music start?
it's always been there. I didn't identify it though until I saw that I had something with it. Until I started making music like for myself. But taking it back, like, all the way, like, my pops would love playing Bob Marley. I would remember screaming in the car with him as a young kid, like, toddler age, and not understanding that I was even developing a love for music and the culture and sound, but
And my question is, what's the
it
top Marley song?
Redemption Song is up there for sure. I think Redemption Song, Three Little Birds, because I was gonna say I performed it, my 4th grade variety show.
Everyone loves Three
Yeah,
Little
Three Little Birds is a
Birds.
classic, and, maybe No Woman, No Cry. That
Okay.
song, the album Legend is legend itself. It hits no matter what. So, but yeah, just constantly developing curiosity for culture and life itself. I think music is just surface level of who my character actually is in this world and what part I want to play in it. I um I think music was just the easiest avenue for me to express that curiosity for life and stuff like that. So whether it was listening to Bob Marley, going to the talent show and performing after not even thinking I would make it, uh, writing and recording these scratch songs off Audacity in middle school and uploading them on SoundCloud, not really caring what people thought about it. I've always been in the avenue of wanting to know more, wanting to seek for more, and not really caring about the external noise. You know what I mean? It's nothing but a disruption to your natural flow. So I've really been in tune with that, especially in realization recently, and like allowing myself to realize these moments and understand them and what they mean for my trajectory in this creative path. So yeah, there's been that. I I started seriously making music, I'd say freshman year.
Freshman year of high
High
school?
school, yeah, high school. And take it back to 8th grade, actually. There was this app called Rap Chat, right? So me and my buds, we would have like a weekly diss track, like organization type of thing. So like, say I had you, but you had like Max, right?
Yeah.
And Max had Julian, and Julian had someone else, right?
And y'all
So
just all dissing each
yeah,
other.
exactly. So on Friday you would come in with your
That's not
diss
the Sammy
ready.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. So you would have your diss ready, and for the time being, it was 8th grade. It's like
We're all immature.
yeah, immature and not even knowing how to rap or the actual foundations of music. We're just spitting bull crap, really. And out of the bull crap, mine was the best. So
Okay.
luckily to say.
I see
So
you, young stunner.
yeah, yeah. So it went from that to slowly just uploading songs onto SoundCloud freshman year that were just off, like, I loved XXX Tentacion. He's still one of my favorite
R.I.P.
artists. Yeah, R.I.P. Rest in power, rest in peace. But his creative vision always it sparked my creative vision almost, and wanting to be like him and express myself in such an unapologetic way. So I was always rapping on his beats. I released a whole album called Dreams on my birthday freshman year. Um
Is it still up there?
some of it is on SoundCloud. Yeah, if y'all dig, you could find it. But I tried my hardest to hide it. But from there, it just went. I just kept on trying to envelop myself in the culture and creativity. I found um from the X beats going on to Lil Pump beats to these hard, grimy trap beats onto more melodic stuff. I was trying to be like Drake for a while, trying to just embody everybody in the scene until I eventually realized that I was just creating for me. And that brought me into sophomore year. First heartbreak, I released this song called Self Healing with no intent. I had like 35 followers on SoundCloud with no intention of it doing anything but just to be a source of expression and how I was feeling at that time, and going through such deep feelings at that time. And out of nowhere, it hit like 200K and like over
That's
a span
crazy.
of a summer. So, and now today it sits at like 22 million streams.
That's crazy,
So,
man.
yeah, man, I got a tattoo for it when it hit 20 mil, and it's become more of a lifestyle to me, self healing and self love and self care. And in the process of self healing, you find so much more about yourself if you're really focused on it. And I emphasize the self. You know what I mean? And not to be a selfish individual, but really prioritize your relationship with yourself and understanding yourself in relation to others and the world, you
I
know?
mean, you can't really help other people if you're not in tune with yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Who
Yeah.
are, how can you help other people when you don't know if you're still gonna be here? You feel?
Right, right. Yeah, and then if you're not secure in yourself and what you're doing in everyday motions, how do you think you're ever gonna instill any type of wisdom or input into anyone else's daily motion? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I'm very big on that, very big in as my artistry grows, I'm growing. You know what I mean? And the more and as you look at these albums that I'm dropping in time and from years on now, I'd hope to say that the progression that you see in those albums is just a result of the progression that I've been making in my personal life. You know what I mean? So that's a big part to me, really.
So talking about that progression,
Yeah.
how would you feel that where you started as an artist
Mm,
compares to where you're at now
mm.
and where you want to be in the future?
Word. Yeah. So I like to view life in almost like I love the idea of evolution, whether it's scientific evolution or personal evolution. You see it everywhere. You can see it in our ideas and our mannerisms and how we act. And if you really pay attention to that, like I said, that emphasis on the self, you will see evolutions of yourself in every day, every minute, every week, every month, every year, every decade. You know what I mean? So really focusing on that and seeing and lining up where you are now to where you want to be. So when I was starting out when I started really seriously as a sophomore, actually bring it back again to middle school, I was rambunctious, immature, not focused on the self, focused
Mm.
on the external perception of what was coming out of my mouth, acting up, acting a fool. You know what I mean? And I wasn't doing the right stuff. Not to say that I am today, but I hope to say I'm doing a little better.
Doing better.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, it is a
process, step by
process,
step.
exactly. But I don't know, just measuring those evolutions, and everyone has an idea and a vision of what they want to be, where they want to be, and how they can get there. Is or I should actually they have that visualization, but the real emphasis is how do you do it? And if you want that, then what are you going to do it? So um through from my first album Dreams to my second album Self Healing, there was a huge emphasis from Dreams was almost a huge diss track on everybody that was talking crap on me, and rightfully so. The music was horrible, but I just felt like that want to express that I didn't care and that this was my way of being was more important than that. So and there's certain consistencies in this whole career that I hope that will stay. Like I said, that want to not care. You know what I mean? That want
Mm.
to express freely. And I hope that's something that I can track back to eighth grade and see that it's stayed with me to this day. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And that mannerism, maybe it's grown and evolved in aspects of respect and humility and stuff like that. But and now I'm more calculated with it. But I've just been growing slowly, you know what I mean? Just searching for growth anywhere, everywhere. And the growth comes in meaning, understanding, and doing, you know what I mean? Just taking action and expressing yourself. You know what I mean? Being your most unapologetic self is it's your world, it's a free world, you know what I mean? So
That's beautiful, man.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, my next question for you is when it comes to the music, what type of approach do you take? I mean, when
Yeah.
it comes to creating this art?
Right. Yeah. So and the one thing that artists don't talk about, I don't know if it's just me as a person in personal reference, but I don't see enough artists talk about the downtime and the times that they're not creating and how hard it is to actually get into that creative avenue.
We
You
live
know
in
what I
a
mean?
very perfectionist society
Yeah,
where
yeah,
everyone just wants to show the top. They want to show what good they've done,
right,
but nobody talks about how us trying different things and our
right.
failures are what show us what we're good at.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, and people, I hear almost nobody but the elites at the top of the game talking about it, and even then it is artificial to a point. But like, to be fully honest, there are weeks, months where I'm sitting at the mic hours a day and nothing's coming out.
Mm.
Artists will tell, and I hope, and if you ask them in person, I bet they would, but uh you could write 70 verses in a day.
And then you could just be dry for the next 3
Yeah,
months.
and even in that day where you wrote 70 verses, those verses could come out to nothing. No one could ever see like, those verses might never see the light of day,
Mm.
honestly. I have a lot of over 600 songs written in my phone,
Wow.
and I only got what, like 60, a catalog of 60 songs,
Wow.
right? So it's like the actual, and I'll put emphasis on all those songs. It's not like I don't want to put them out or that they lack something. It's it's almost like a journal at that point. Everything that I put in is expression, and that shows you, for 600 attempts I really had to dive into my mind, in a different part of my mind, just to understand what I was trying to express. And people don't understand sometimes the effort and the conscious effort and will you really need to create and to be a creative, especially in 2023. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So the process for me, I try to keep it as organic as possible. I luckily have been able to hone my skills enough now to co-produce and be able to direct and sit down with other producers and other creatives and other musicians and really coerce my piece into one thing, what I'm visualizing. But dude, it sucks. It's a rough process, and any creative will tell you that it is draining and it takes a while, but that's why we do it. You know what I mean? You figure so much more, and I bring it back to the idea of evolution. With every album I drop, it's like a new chapter of life. You know what I mean? I'm closing that chapter, and whatever that album was the process of that. So this album that I'm working on now is 2.5 years in the process. You know what I mean? And I look to drop this album and close it fully. Just close that chapter in my life to move on to the next and be able to take a deep breath in and know that I'm moving on to the next part. You know what I
So
mean?
what chapter is on this album that's coming out?
I think every album is a different aspect of self-reflection. That's all I can really do. I can offer you a piece of my mind and how I reflect and how I see myself, and like I said, in relation to the world and how I perceive the world. But this album, I took it to an interpersonal level. So not only are you going to hear my struggle, but you will hear your struggle and my struggle.
Mm.
You will see that I, as someone who am just trying to paint myself as a creative being, an expressive being, and in that might get lost and put on a pedestal, am no better than anyone that I'm trying to share with. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And sitting here with you now, we are on equal pedestals, on equal ground, I should say, with equal creative ability and opportunity in life, and that we are all on the same mission. We are all going to lay 6 feet under the ground someday. We all got the same end goal, whether you want to live in Colorado and I want to live in Calabasas, or I want to have 4 kids and you want to have 2. We are all going to the same destination at the end of the day. So, and a lot of people lose that in our
And our differences.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I'm really trying to tie the similarities together in this album. Show people that it's all right to be human. It's all right to make mistakes. It's all right to be in the thick of it, and when you are in the thick of it, just breathe. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's not it's There's nothing that as an individual and as a group that we can't get through. You know what I mean?
Amen, man.
Amen. Yeah, I
Can
appreciate
we
that.
can we get a title for this album?
Ah, I can't do that one, but I could give you. I have a strict date. For some reason I always want to drop on my birthday, so I was thinking March 28th, 2024. Um, I don't have a title. To publicly announce yet. I have some ideas, but
Drop a couple of them here, if you feel comfortable.
I got one that's been on my vision board for a while. The ego in the shadow.
Mm.
Um, and for anyone that I'm a psychology major, by the way, so I've been diving into these theories and ideas and really understanding what they mean in my personal life. But the ego is just a sense of self that can be overrid with pride, and if it's filled with pride, then it takes a certain form of personality that can or can't be good. Where the shadow is uh, this part of us that only we know, that only we would confront in the mirror. We don't let anyone else see this shadow, and that is our truest form of self. And in this album, I tried to explain that it is all right to bring the shadow out. Our shadow should be our ego. Our
Mm.
shadow and ego should be in constant compatibility. You know what I mean? Whereas humans in 2023 try to put out this persona, this ego, this sense of self that is so different than what is on the
What they
inside.
really are,
Right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So the ego and the shadow. That's one that I think is has been sticking for a while.
I
It's been
really, really like that title.
thank
I
you, man.
really like
Thank
the
you.
thought process
Thank you,
that
man.
goes behind it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, tying into that, you're talking about your psychology major.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
question is, what do you want to do with that major in the future, with your degree?
So I wanna pursue a PhD in psychology. I would love to, as much as I am enveloped in the creative side in my creative career, I always want to be secure and know that I have something finite no matter what.
Mm.
So, and I love psychology. I love neuropsychology, neuroscience, and the study of the mind, the study of the psyche, and stuff like that. So, I would love to pursue a PhD in psychology and open my practice, or this past summer I was working an internship where I was a neuropsych evaluator. So I was evaluating anyone from toddlers to geriatrics about over neurological disorders, ADHD, or I said attention deficit, recall problems, anything like that. So it was a really eye opening thing. I went into psychology with the thought that it's the closest parallel to my music career and
Mm.
creativity, and just how psychology is in everything, the psychology of business, the psychology of art, the psychology of medicine. You know what I mean? It's you know what I mean?
Talk more about that parallel part.
I thought if I could understand the human mind at a deeper level, I could convey and express what I wanted at a deeper level. And I could really trigger something in people's minds to be like, all right, maybe this guy knows something. Maybe
Mm.
he can give me something that I've been searching for in my life, that I'm personally still searching for every day. You know what I mean? And don't let this talk fool you or any of this wisdom. I am as lost as any human being on this earth. We're all just trying to get one foot in front of the next. You know what I mean? So trying to figure it out. And in psychology, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of lines that you can really draw to creativity, and even, like I said, the psychology of creativity, learning the origins of creativity itself. What makes a human spark, what makes a human want to create and innovate, and understanding your role within society, and that, you know what I mean? So that's a pretty big parallel that I've always thought about.
I find that really interesting because everybody listens to music.
Yeah.
So it's like you could say that music is really the best way to get a message out to
Correct.
the
Correct.
masses.
Yeah.
And with what you're doing with your psychology major and hopefully getting your PhD in the future, you can tie the two together to have people have a better sense of self
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
take care of themselves better.
Definitely. Yeah,
So,
that's all I'm hoping for, you know what I mean? That's all we can all hope for, you know what I mean? Whether it's in your personal situations with your families and your friends, I'd recommend and emphasize that if you're not one of those people who, and you don't have to, you know what I mean? Altruism, being of service of others is something that I love and devote myself to. But if anything, just making sure you're at service of those who are at service of you. You know what I mean? And who respect and love you, and making sure that you're conscious enough to give that back. You know what I mean? I think that cycle in itself creates um, a good cycle of life for you and your personal matter. And if you want to bring it to a bigger stage of altruism and uh, giving out and being free with it, I think you'll just reap bigger rewards. So
I
yeah,
like the sound of that.
yeah,
And honestly, I don't know anybody watching this, especially I'm just saying if you be on the administrative side of any of these top universities for my man's to get his
Thank
PhD,
you, man.
listen to these ideas he got here.
Thank
There's
you,
some good
man.
ideas. He can do a lot of good for your program. So I'd say definitely get him on there.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for that, for real.
But since we were still on the topic of your psychology major,
Yeah.
what's it like being a psych major and also being an artist and trying to handle that balance in
That's a
college?
good question. That's a good question. I don't know if there is any true balance to it. I just kind of knock it out as it comes, especially with creativity. I find that creativity, once you're at this deep of a level, it's such an inconsistent thing that you really have to have a sharp antenna to catch it. So you're just waiting for the opportunity, for the right moment, the right beat, the right lyric, the right moment to happen. Whereas school to me is just finite. It's a very routine, structured thing that I've learned to finally put myself through, and we'll cover more about that when we talk about discipline and stuff later. But just making sure that my routine is good for me and is achieving what I need to achieve within school, and also freeing up my space enough to have those moments, to be able to receive those moments, and to always know that my antenna is waiting and to receive one of these moments. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
it's a big waiting game in it all, but school definitely honestly helps. I'd find that I'm more creative here than I am just, sitting at home uh, over the summer, over break, while I'm not really doing anything. It feels like you're waiting for a longer time. So I just focus on the motion. You know what I mean? Constant motion throughout my day, doing as much as I can, and being present, because that's how you really capture the best moments. That's how you have the sharpest antenna, and to receive the best creative sparks, the best mental sparks for your school, whatever. It's hard. It's hard. I won't say that it's not, but it's doable. It's manageable. It's fun. You know what I mean? It gives you a new aspect of life. It makes you feel a little bit more mature and grown. It teaches you how to balance it a little more. But
mm.
just go with the flow. You really, you know what I mean?
So then my last question for you, this is like sort of still off the back of balancing school
Yeah,
and music,
yeah,
but I feel like there's a lot of people listening to this and just a lot of people in general where they write as a pastime, they write as a stress release,
right,
or they make some beats or they make some music as like something to do in their off time when they're not worrying about class. But
right.
with you as an artist, you're making money from this.
Hmm.
Does having that financial tie and the fact that you have fans, you have people that are depending on you, looking forward to your music, does that add any extra stress when you're already in the trenches of the semester?
That's a good good question. I'd find that, and this came way before the school stuff too. But I've always music is on my mind, whether it's the next bar that I'm writing or the next melody that I want to shoot over to my friend to play on piano for me. I've always, 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 whether like if you see me walking on campus and I'm not saying hello to you, I'm probably thinking about music. So, and that's just been innate, right? So I don't know if I would attribute that to the stress or the pressure of having fans, having a foundation and a team behind me that I have to respond to, but um I've always emphasized doing it for myself, because I lost myself in doing it for the external. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Doing it for the money, doing it for the perception, doing it for someone else to validate what I already knew I was. You know what I mean? So it got to a point where it was such a cyclical, draining cycle of trying to prove other people that I was worth it, right? So I strongly stress, whether I'm sitting right now at 6,000 monthly listeners, or hopefully in some years at a couple million, I will never really change my perspective on why I'm doing it and the pace at which I should be doing it. I'm creating for myself, for myself. You know what I mean, that's it. There's no other there's no other reason for it. If I don't find that I'm getting the personal utility from creating, then I'll stop. You know what I mean? But until that day, I'm gonna keep kicking with it and making what I can. So
It's
yeah,
good to hear you're not lost in the sauce, man.
yeah. Thank
A
you,
lot of
man.
people get lost in the
It's
sauce.
it's easy too, dog, and it's really easy. People get lost in the sauce all the time. I still do sometimes, and I think it's really just important to take a step back and zoom out and see the bigger picture, see
Keep
what you're
yourself
doing it
grounded.
for. Right? Exactly.
That's some good talk, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
But after our artist spotlight,
No
sorry,
worries.
after our artist spotlight, we're gonna get into some lessons you can impart with us before we get into our talk on self discipline. But
Definitely, definitely.
as for our artist spotlight this week, we can listen to some Doc Martens by Chibi.
Yeah, you left your dog models in my crib when you came over. I've been plotting ways just to make you come over. I've been trying to talk, baby, let me get some closure. I can count the days since you left, I've been sober. Now it's celebration, like your favorite anime. Remember you used to watch it just to pass the time away. Now I love the time, just feel like wasting time. And I can feel the pressure, but I don't see the diamonds, yeah. I've been waiting on your calls, babe. I just need insurance, come and save me like you are.
Hope you enjoyed our artist spotlight for this week. Doc Martens by Chibi. You can find him on Spotify or YouTube Music, and we'll have everything linked in the description below. But after this intermission, we getting into 3 traits that you have in your life that anybody listening can pick up and would better themselves from.
Word. Yeah. Off the bat, honesty, just the truth shall set you free. I was such a bad
Mm,
liar in middle school and high school, and a liar to save my butt. You know what I mean? A liar to to get a certain type of validation and perception, to put myself in a different at a certain status and stuff like that. And I really thought I was getting away with it for a while until you realize that one, the constant stress is just you trying to live this lie that you're
uphold
creating.
this
Yeah,
image.
yeah. And two, it collapses. The downfall of it is atrocious. You don't it catches you when you're not expecting it at all,
Mhm.
and it's like a stack of cards, man. It will fall a lot quicker than it went up. So
I think part of the thing with lying, because when I was younger, I also lied a ton.
right,
It's that you don't love who you are, so you
yeah,
try making
yeah,
this facade for other people to believe,
right,
even though you could better be using that energy to better yourself,
correct, yeah.
you
Which
know?
which goes into that idea, back to the idea of self healing. It's like if you really identify with that idea of self-healing, then you have no need to lie. You
Mhm.
understand yourself, you love yourself, and self-esteem is fluctuating, as we all know, but to the goal is to achieve a consistent rate of it, you know what I mean, and get to a certain place where we're secure in ourselves and for ourselves. People misconstrue the idea of self-security of like for outward security or something like that. It's not for the perception of anyone else, right? So when anyone asks you about anything, whether it's tough times or not, just be honest. That's all you got. The truth is what it is. You know what I mean? You saying a lie will not stop them from figuring it out on their own, or
Exactly.
you exposing yourself at some point. Be honest, you know what I mean? Tell the truth. Even like I said, even in the worst situations. Can't get that much worse. If you're telling the truth, someone's going the person you're telling the lie to or the truth to is
They'll
human
find out
too.
eventually.
Right. They're human too. So that's something that we can all relate to. So I know that just tell the truth. It sets you free. It's so much more freeing than trying to uphold a lie. You know what I mean? So that's one. Honesty. Um I'd say consistency is another one, and that ties in with the third trait, which is discipline. But um, And I said in the car right here, dude, that consistency mixed with discipline is the greatest equation for the most unexplainable energy on earth.
Mm.
I don't know what it is. I can't sit here and really explain it to you. Um, but I can tell you from personal experience and that it is the best natural high, if you want to call it, that you will ever get in life. And it sucks at first, but that's where consistency comes in. You know what I mean?
The way you say it, discipline is like power
Mm,
and consistency is like fuel.
correct.
So
Yeah.
when you're combining the two, it keeps you up all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. And people try to look for these vices, whether it's substances or certain sources of media and stuff like that, that just temporarily will fuel you. And I was stuck on them for the longest time. Genuinely, I had such a bad problem with them. But finding the consistency in yourself day after day, knowing that you're doing the right thing consistently well, and in that it is a form of discipline, doing it well and consistently, it builds up, it stacks up, and the stack is slower than if you were to tap into a vice, because the vice is one temporary, but it's in the now, right? So it happens immediately.
And then not only is it temporary, but it could honestly be hurting you, not only in the moment, but in the
In the
future too.
trajectory, yeah, it fully changes the trajectory of your life, and people don't want to look at that because the instant gratification that we want so badly in 2023 is so powerful. You know what I mean? So powerful. But taking a step back to really realize that, discipline yourself, reorganizing your priorities. You know what I mean? And your top two priorities should be discipline and consistency. You know what I mean? Because like I said, that equation, I tell you, it is a guarantee. You will find an abundance of energy out of it. You will find an abundance of self love and self esteem out of it. You will, day after day, if you prove to yourself and say who you say you are, it's guaranteed. It's finite evidence in front of you. You don't have to lie about it. You don't have to say that, like, try to, self handicap or something like that, or even more self sabotage to make yourself feel better, or be like, oh, this is why it didn't happen. Just go do it. I mean, people are so scared of taking the initiative, but that's the biggest part in it. Do it. Stay disciplined. Stay consistent. All the external that is would afflict your route on this route of discipline is just an external thought, right? And we are so easy to tap into those external things because they seem like fun, or we have FOMO, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. It's like, dog, relax, do you for you, you'll get what you want. You know what I mean?
Let's remember that we're not talking from a pedestal. We've obviously made many mistakes in our past. Like
Correct.
you talking about lying, it's because you lied in your past.
Correct.
That's how
Yeah.
you learned that it wasn't right for you and it's just not right in general.
Correct. Yeah.
And when it comes to staying consistent with these things, it's all trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Like we struggled in the past, we're going to struggle in the future,
Right.
but it's about having our head in the right place.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And understanding the intention of it. Intention is everything. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you say that you're going to do something, if you say for the next 30 days, or not even for the next 30 days, if you say from here on out, I want to start consistently journaling, but your intention isn't, like, the intention of journaling, right, is to reflect, review, analyze, and then better yourself, right?
Mhm.
And be able to see in a physical way of writing and expression, that of how you're feeling in that moment. So you can go back and look at it and, like I said, reflect, analyze, and better. If that pure intention is not there, you will never do it in the first place. It'll fall out within the first two times you do it, because the intention is not there. The purpose isn't there. So many people, they say they want to go to the gym, but the intention is for someone else to say they look good.
Mhm.
So many people say they want to go run a marathon, but it's not to say that, it's not to even say that they did it for themselves. It's just so they could boast about it a little bit. And it's sad to see, but that mindset is an oversaturated one in
Mhm.
2023. There's a lot of it, and I guess my goal in life is just to escape that mundane way of thinking. You know what I mean? Just
I think the other thing is like with that mindset, it also ties with instant gratification.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
going to the gym because you want somebody else to notice you, but because you want someone to notice you, you're not realizing that the gym that's a 3-month process before
Right.
you're really going to see results.
Right.
Or running a marathon, you have to train for years before you're ready
Right.
for that.
Right. Right. It's like you said, it's a process, and in today's world, not many people believe in the process. They give up before the process even starts, which sucks. It really does suck. And I see it in my personal life, even in small things. I say I want to get better at cooking, and I'm not a bad cook, but
You're not a bad cook. What you
nah.
cooking though? What's your best dish?
Oh, my best or like my favorite?
Give me your best and then give me your favorite.
My best. My best. I could actually make some really good sushi.
Okay.
I could make some good sushi. Not
That's
gonna
that's
lie.
a rare one. I don't hear that a lot. I
I
don't hear
could.
like, I'm good at
Yeah,
sushi.
I could make some sushi, not gonna lie. That's a random one. But my favorite dish to make, I love pesto.
Okay.
Any type of pesto dish. But this summer I mastered the art of chicken pesto pasta. So
I be
yeah.
getting that from
Yeah.
Noodles and Company on
Yeah,
Forbes,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
might need
Shout
to
out to
pull over
them.
to your spot to
Dude,
get some.
definitely, dude. I'll cook up a batch for us. We'll
Okay,
have a good
man.
dinner for real.
Yeah,
Definitely, man.
man.
But
But getting into this last point
yeah,
of self-discipline, which
yeah.
is one of the mainstays of this week's podcast, I guess, can you get into what self-discipline does for your life and what you want it to do for other people?
Discipline just keeps you accountable. It keeps you it keeps you accountable, it keeps you responsible, it keeps you in the know, in the now. You know what I mean? It's not discipline is only focused on what is on your plate right now and how to get it done right now. You know what I mean? And it leaves no space for uh extra stress about tomorrow, what was wrong about yesterday. It introduces the thought of let's do this now. And discipline in its rawest form will show you responsibility. It will show you reliability, accountability, all things that you need if you want to be a good professional in whatever you're doing in life, as long and a good human being in your personal life. In my personal life, and I brought up the marathon training because I am training for a marathon right
Okay,
now.
what year? When are we doing it?
Pittsburgh Marathon, May 5th, so
Ooh,
2024. But I got a little bit, but I'm running consistently. I wake up every day 4 a.m. to run, and that is something that I adopted. Getting it, like maybe like beginning of August, and I've stuck with it since in name of discipline and consistency.
consistency.
Um, and it's gotten easier. You know what I mean? I was talking to my dad on the phone today. My perception of waking up at 4 a.m. feels like I'm waking up at 6 a.m. now. And waking up at 6 a.m. feels like I'm waking up at 8 a.m. now. And that's only through being consistent with it and trying and going through it and not giving pain a voice. You know what I mean? Everyone goes through the same stuff. The name of discipline, the game of discipline is knowing that everyone else is going through the same thing and not handicapping yourself because of that. So it's not like, it sucks to go run in the morning at 4 AM. I'm not going it sucks. That is the worst part of the day, but to get it done and to know that I'm doing it is and to know that I'm doing it past that feeling of suckiness is pushing me past my limits and making me know that I can do this and not to compare to other people, but like I said, we all feel that emotion. So if I can go out and do that, it's just giving me more and more energy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense kinda?
No, it does.
Okay.
And I think that with that example of training for a marathon with that discipline, we can honestly tie it into self love,
Mhm.
loving yourself,
Yeah.
and wanting to better yourself.
Yeah.
Because while you are training for this marathon, your body is reacting to the training you're putting it through
Correct.
in
Yeah.
all these different ways that you might not even realize are helping you. Like,
Correct.
did you know that with working out, you actually better your mental?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's a
And
big cognitive boost. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
so that discipline just feeds more into self-love and
Mm-hmm.
your own self-image.
Most def, man. Yeah. And in discipline, you will find that. And I didn't mention this before, but in making a routine, like I'm not saying go wake up at 4 a.m. and start your day then or anything like that. But I found that routine for me, make a routine that you love. Make a routine. So people get stuck in this thought that, oh, a routine has to be something that is fully maximizing my potential and my not just potential, but my workload. You know what I mean? It's only to get the work done. It's like leave some space in your routine to get your personal work done. You know what I mean? All of it is work in general. And you gotta at some point you really gotta just grow up and see life as that. But the more you love your routine, the more you can instill these little moments of self-appreciation and self-healing, the better it is, and the easier it gets. You know what I mean? And the more you want to do it, the more consistent you want to be with it, the more disciplined you want to be. And it sucks at times because I have a whiteboard at home that I write my 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. venture on, and at times if I'm at 5 p.m. and my friend texts me and saying, yo, do you want to come over, I sadly have to say no sometimes. You know what I mean? To prioritize that discipline and prioritize that momentum that I'm creating for myself and my trajectory in life. So yeah.
So a lot of the talk on discipline has been with, I guess, what would I say, extracurricular things, like
Yeah.
talking about how you want to train for this
Yeah.
marathon
Yeah.
or working on this music.
Right.
But is there a way that you can tie self-discipline to things that other people can relate to, like
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
work?
So I could relate running to a study session. I don't know how many people here would poke their head up when I said study session. I think zero. You know what I mean? No one wants to do it. I don't want to go on a 4 a.m. run, but sticking through, like I said, not giving pain a voice, and it's not as painful as a study session, but it's boring for sure.
Mhm.
Not giving that emotion a voice will drive your productivity and maximize your potential in that. So, you know what I mean? Not paying attention to the sucky side of things, understanding the bigger picture of being disciplined and doing those everyday things like studying every day, making sure you're getting in those hours, making sure you are holding yourself accountable of getting the work done. Right. So you don't have to worry about it. I don't know how many freshman year, sophomore year, I was such a procrastinator and I wasn't stressed about it until I had to stress about it. And then the stress load was this much bigger because I wasn't disciplined in my everyday routine of just studying. If you study an hour every day, by the 13th week, your study hours are through the roof, and you naturally, organically start to absorb the subject matter. You know what I mean? So if you're in a lecture hall and the syllabus is, take advantage of your syllabus, take advantage of the readings, and your teachers are really setting it up for you, or your professors are really setting it up for you in a right way. You just got to be responsible and
And apply
accountable.
yourself.
Right. Yeah. Apply it. Look at the syllabus, dude. There is the calendar of the 13-week program right there of your readings, when the exam is happening, when is that. And there were so many times my freshman and sophomore year where the exam was in a week, and I'm like, yo, what? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
We definitely all been there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just growing up, being a little more responsible. The responsibility and accountability comes with the discipline and consistency. So if you practice those two things along with honesty, love, um, universal love, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be romantic, but make sure you're checking on your friends, the people you care about, family, and making sure you're always reevaluating your priorities. You know what I mean? So that's what I could give.
You imparted a lot of wisdom on us today, man.
Thank you, man.
Like,
I
I'm
really
about to apply
appreciate
this
that.
when we walk out of the studio right now.
Thank you, man. I
You got
hope
me
so.
cheesing for real.
For real, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be on this podcast and speak to so many people and speak my truth and stuff like that. And to anybody listening, if y'all ever see me on campus, please make sure y'all say hello. I would love to talk and be able to envelop myself in y'all's lives. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity, man.
So before we let off, is there any last closing thoughts you want to leave with our listeners?
Just practice what you preach and always travel with some peace.
That's a bar.
Hey, man, that's
That's
a
a
bar
bar.
on the album. So I got y'all.
Well, it was definitely a very good
It
conversation.
was a blessing, man.
Very glad to have the great Sami Rizk
Thank
on
you.
the Let's Talk Social Innovation pod.
Thank you.
And before you go, our friends at the School of Social Work,
Oh, awesome.
they
Wow.
made you a little goodie bag.
Awesome, man.
You'll
Thank
find
you.
some fun things in there.
Cool.
Actually,
Thank
something
you.
extra from last time.
Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, M&Ms. I love M&Ms. So
We love M&Ms.
yeah, thank you, man.
School of Social Work, Dr. Toya Jones, my good friend and colleague, just launched her new podcast, Healing Overflow with Dr. Toy, where she talks about a lot of social work things and a lot of self-betterment. So I encourage you and everyone who's watching and listening to definitely go give it a shot.
Yeah.
First episode should be out by now.
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah,
definitely keep an eye out for that.
definitely. I will definitely tune into that, and I recommend all y'all do too.
But I guess this is it. And this is
Yeah,
Ian
man.
Kahinde signing off.
Thank you.